Live from the Business RadioX studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and we've got a great show today. Sarah Adams is with us, and Sarah is with Blue Chip Branding and Headshots. She's an expert on headshots, and you're going to hear more about her expertise and how she helps you look great. And if she can do it for me, which she did, she can do it for anyone, I promise you. So you'll want to listen to this one and hear what happened during our session, which was really good. But before we get to that, I just want to remind you that if you really don't want to talk about your banking experience, if you're at one of those mega banks and you're getting mistreated by the experience, and you know what I'm talking about, if you're at one of those banks, they just don't like personal service. They want to give you a computer-generated voice or something like that to deal with. Go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and just call them up. They answer the phone. That's pretty unusual in this day and age for big banks. And here's what I hear from folks that I refer to Renaissance. They tell me that Renaissance is big enough to handle pretty much any need that they have, but they do it all in a personal way. If you like the sound of that, again, go to the website, renaissancebank.com, and check them out. Find a local office and be in touch. I think you'll be glad you did. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And again, now I want to welcome Sarah Adams. Sarah is with Blue Chip Branding and Headshots. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you, John. Happy to be back.
Good. Great to have you back. Let's talk about you and how you're helping folks look better, right?
Yeah, I've been here in the Atlanta area doing headshots for a couple of years now. Soon my family is moving to Macon, so I'm hoping to expand actually to all Georgia cities that kind of central location will be in. But I help companies, companies and individuals. I'll go bring my whole studio to an office and take an entire group, or people come to me, my studio, and get their individual headshots done. Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You were here before, but a lot of folks have not heard that show. So let's talk a little bit about your backstory and why you focused on headshots. Pardon the pun. I didn't even do that on purpose. Yeah. Why you zeroed in on that as your passion?
Right. Yeah. So I have been interested in photography from a young age, probably 12 or 13. I had my first camera, and I brought that camera to college, and I started with portraits of my fellow UGA grads.
Yeah.
People older than me first who were graduating. I said, hey, I think I did it for free initially. Of course, I was just having fun and testing out portraiture with some natural light on UGA's beautiful campus. And I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. And I guess when I graduated myself, I could have and maybe should have jumped straight into the entrepreneurship thing of photography, but I instead took the path of digital marketing for a while, got a job at a marketing agency, and I think that is what led me in some way to the specialization of headshots, and I think my marketing background helps me as a headshot and branding photographer, because it's essentially, I am in essence still a marketer. I'm just creating a very specific marketing asset, which is a personal branding asset, a portrait of an individual that does something for them in that marketing arena. It's a presentation. Yeah,
that makes sense. I want to posit something here and see if you agree that when you were in college, you were pursuing what you were passionate about, but maybe you didn't fully appreciate the implications of that craft and what you do for your subjects until you had spent some time in digital marketing, and you got that time really helped you fully appreciate the value of what you were doing for clients. Is that a fair statement?
I think I realized, and it really came about, funny enough, just scrolling on LinkedIn and seeing a headshot of a colleague photographer of mine who it blew me out of the water to see this image of this woman. It was awesome. And I messaged the guy and said, hey, this is an amazing picture. But I recognized as a marketer seeing that, just the power of that. And I've always, in marketing, I was always into writing and presenting. It was my job to write a pitch or a website content in a way that was going to present clients well. And so words, images, right? That's all marketing is. But yeah, seeing that image and talking to that photographer led me down the path of then learning and deepening my photography skill and just pursuing that.
I guess what I'm getting at is that it's kind of like the name of your business. There's a headshot and then there's the branding mentality that comes with it. Because the truth of the matter is I can do a headshot, not well, but I could do one. But that doesn't mean I've got zero branding expertise to bring to the table. So it's really it's not just the thing, it's what the thing does. In this case, the headshot. And that's where your expertise comes in.
Yes. And I have the opportunity with clients to share that, like during the session. A lot of people who've worked with photographers are probably used to being sent the photos, have your session, then a couple weeks later you get a proofing gallery and you browse that at home on your own. I do it totally differently. I like to show people the photos as we shoot. First of all, to make it a collaborative process between me and my client to see as we shoot, do you like this? Is there anything we need to change here? That's one thing. But two, at the end of the session, when clients select their photos and make their purchase, I'm there to be almost like an image consultant is how I like to think of it. I talk to the client about what they do, and it depending if they're a salesperson or, I don't know, a lawyer or a C-suite level person, I'm trying to think about who's their audience, right? Is it other executives? Is it, for a lawyer, maybe clients, maybe other lawyers? Yeah. You want to maybe look friendly for your clients, but tough for your other opposing counsel. Yeah, I don't know. But really, it could be. Yeah. Or a little bit of both. Maybe we have one look for a certain context and a different image for a different context. But I get to, and that's the most fun part probably of the session for me, and I think for the client, because it's the point at which they're looking at the photos and the nerves are gone because they see themselves looking great. They're like, oh, I did it. So we're looking at the photos together and we are picking it apart by like their eyes, their mouth, and all these little subtleties that you see. And I'm just providing feedback saying, see how that slight change? I'll go back and forth. See how that you look a little bit more friendly and approachable here than the previous shot, just because that slight change. Right. That'll usually be something I had cued them to do and coach. When they're behind the camera, I'll just give these cues and we'll get to it'll be such a subtle change, but it makes a big difference.
Let's talk about, I want to get into that, and maybe we can talk about that in the context of the session that I had with you. So I had a session with you a couple months ago, right?
Yeah.
And you survived it and you came on the show anyway, so thank you for that.
You were easy. That was great.
But one of the things that happened, and I mention this because I know you do this for all your clients, is you walked me through the process. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
And that is reassuring simply because when you walk into a session, I think particularly for some people, I'm not so stressed out about it, but for some people it feels like an execution, right? And so they're nervous, they're scared. And so they're afraid of what they're going to look like, and
it's intimidating. You're standing behind these bright lights.
Right. Very bright lights with all the equipment and the filters.
Feels like the doctor's office with the lights.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're about to go in the chair.
Surgery.
The oral surgeon will see you now. Here come the wisdom teeth. They're coming out.
Yeah.
But so it gets a little it can be intimidating when you see all that,
Right.
but you walk your clients through it. Talk about that.
Sure. That's intentional. Just on one hand, right when the client walks in, I'm making an effort to make them feel welcome and comfortable and at ease, because I get that getting your photo taken is something a lot of people dread or just find easy to put off because it's, oh, no, I don't want to do that today, at least. Or I want to do that after I lose some weight or after this or whatever.
Which never happens.
It's like you come now, you can always come back when you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I understand that. And I think walking people through the process and kind of giving them a roadmap of what I'm doing. Like I initially, when they walk in, I'm looking at their face and I'm adjusting the lights to their facial structure and things like that. And if I was just silent, it'd be a little weird. So I'd like to explain, I'm going to get our lights all set. I'm going to take some test shots and then don't worry, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. So they're not standing there thinking, is it time for me to start performing? And that's a big thing that I actually have to watch out for, because that's what we all, of course, are trained to do and tend to do when you're in front of a camera. It's showtime, right? It's time to perform. And getting in our head like that's what I'm fighting against with clients. So by explaining the process and by coaching them, my primary goal is just getting people out of their heads, because that's when you go from looking fake or cheesy to looking really authentic and like yourself. I actually want to bring up, I was listening to another photographer talk about this and how he does it. And I took a page out of that book a little bit from this point forward. But he said he just asks people questions, like simple questions, like silly things like, I don't know, brie or mozzarella. I don't know, just random or just making conversation, basically. Or in a kind of silly way, though, it's French fries or pizza. Okay. It's something simple, but the thing that it's doing is it's getting someone out of their head. Yeah. When you're thinking of a response to a question, you're not worried about the lights and the camera there, and you're not focused on that. And it's all about subtle differences in the face, but if we get to that point, whether it's just through conversation and just relaxing, that's one way to do it. But sometimes with certain people, it does take being a little silly to get to that point. So I'm willing to do that if necessary. This is the adult version of what you say to kids, right? Say macaroni and cheese, right? In other words, you're trying to get whatever persona someone came in with, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever preconceived notions that they came in with, to get all that out of their head and just to be themselves. Right. That's what it's all about. Yes. And that can be hard. Ultimately, it's hard to do by yourself, I think, unless you're really conscious of your own, I don't know, mental state and can really, which most people I think aren't. They're not. I like to say I work with business people, not professional models, and I understand that it's my job to get them to that comfortable place. And I really take that seriously. I'm not just waiting for them to do it themselves. It's an active process. We're here chatting with Sarah Adams, folks. She is the owner of Blue Chip Branding and Headshots. Beyond just getting it right, how does that benefit the client for you to really craft that headshot collaboratively? Right. I think for one thing, just initially, I love this when someone's nervous, but they come behind and they look at their picture. They think, oh, wait, I look pretty good. Hey, that's pretty good already. I love that reaction. And that's part of becoming at ease and becoming comfortable with the process. So that's number one. But then Can I stop you right there? Yeah. So do you mean to do that? Yes. That the first few shots you don't intend to use. They're just there to get people comfortable that this is going to work out. Yeah, exactly. Right. I like, especially if I can tell someone's pretty nervous, I like to say, hey, just come and look and see. Like, as soon as I get a couple of shots, I think these are pretty good. I bring them back and yes, that I hope, and it usually happens, that is okay. This takes some of the nerves away, because then they can see, okay, maybe I can do this successfully, and it's not going to be so hard as I thought. So that's one thing. Beyond that, though, the collaboration piece, that's where people, I think, start having fun, and I feel like I can really step into educating someone on my role and what I'm doing and my cues I give them, which you experience, that are all very funny, and they I don't know. I think when I tell someone to do those cues, and a lot of times the feedback, oh, this feels so weird or awkward. I know, but it looks good, trust me. And then we look, and I say, see, look, here's where I told you to put your chin down a little bit and look at the difference. And then people, it's amazing how quickly people really, like, I stop having to really coach them as much because they get it, and it becomes, and they start to feel, I think, confident in understanding how it works. Basically, it's like you go from, I have no clue how this works, or I've had my photo taken, but I don't know any strategies. Right. Then they feel armed with strategy to get the results they want after we look at the images together.
Let's talk about just the value of having a third-party partner, because there are three personas here, maybe is the way to say it. That may not be the right word, but there's like me as the client. Then there's the me that is in the headshot, and those are two different things. And when I see that, I see something different than what you do.
Right.
And you represent all the thousands of people that are going to see my headshot, right? Because you're the stand-in for all those people. And that's a huge part of where your value is, right?
Yes. Yeah. Part of my job I see is really thinking about who my client is professionally, where they are in their career, who their audience is, and really thinking, what if I were hiring this, say, maybe it's a C-suite level person, and I'm the CEO and I'm hiring this CFO. I've had a lady like that, and she's wonderful to work with. And that's a different look than, say, a younger salesperson, or perhaps a lawyer, or you can go on and on. People have subtle differences in how they want to look to their audience. And sometimes I ask them, and oftentimes I do, is there anything if you could define what message you want to get across to your clients through when they see your headshot, what would it be? But there are some things that kind of hold true across the board, like confidence. Everyone wants to look confident behind or in front of the camera. And so anyway, I'm trying to act as the person who is keeping that in mind and giving that feedback on the image. Because like you said, yes, if someone sees an image of themselves, and I've even experienced this, having my own headshot taken by friends and colleagues of mine, I'm looking at it thinking, oh, do I look good or not? It stops there pretty much. I hate to say that even as someone who does this professionally. When it's myself, you revert to that just like self-conscious, do I look good or not? So I'm always trying to take people beyond that and say, what is the message this is giving? What are the feelings this image is getting across to your audience?
Yeah, and we cannot judge that ourselves. It's kind of like people that come on this show and say, I hate the sound of my own voice.
Oh, yeah.
The truth of the matter is, you sound great.
You know what? That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's very similar.
Yeah.
Because we don't sound like we think, right? When we're hearing ourselves talk, and then we hear a recording and it's like, oh no. And a picture of yourself is very similar. And there's overcoming that disconnect between how I look in the mirror and how I look in a photo. It's, you look like how you look in the photo, but it's being comfortable that there is a difference there. It's weird, but human beings, that's how it works with our voice, our image, everything. Self-conscious.
Let's talk about the whole notion of a headshot being aspirational. You've posted about this, talked about this. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's something I go back to as what I understand is the real value of a headshot. Of course, it's easy to see that having good images of yourself is a good branding and marketing asset for other people to look at and appreciate. And see you as the professional you are. And that's true. But I think it really goes deeper than that, because I'm a big believer personally that success comes from within. It comes from your own self-confidence and belief in yourself. And so to use a headshot session to amplify that for yourself, I think is a good idea and a thing to do. And what I suggest, and I've in my career and have done this with my own professional headshots, but when I had my first, because I was previously in marketing, I first got a big role in marketing, a marketing director for a law firm. And I went and got headshots and I said, I want to look like a marketing executive. That's what I want to look. I want to look like that. And to allow that and have fun with that and allow yourself to dream and present yourself 2 or 3 steps ahead of where you are. Because a photographer can do that. I would love to do that with someone. And because I should collaborate on a specific vision they have for who they want to be or where they're going in their career. Because I think accomplishing that and essentially looking the part is a big part of your own ability to believe, yes, I can be that person. They're right there in front of me in the picture. So I think if you let it, your headshot can serve as a source of personal inspiration. And I think that is connected to, certainly to ultimately the effectiveness of the image for others, because if you aren't, this is like a common phrase, especially in business, but if you're not confident in yourself, how can you expect others to be confident in you? Right. Sort of question. It's the same. If you don't feel, if your headshot isn't inspiring to you, if you're not believing in that person, then are other people gonna believe in you? And of course, if you have a good headshot with a professional, then yes, I think you'll get the positive side of that, where yes, if people will believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Sarah, let's talk a little bit about who needs a headshot. And I want to talk in terms of how often do you need to refresh it?
Sure.
What are some of the things that individuals, even those that they're happy to get their headshot done, but they may not know like what the cadence is on when they need to get a new one?
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So as a general rule, I really would say every couple of years. I think enough things change in 2 years that would warrant a new headshot. Some of those things might be you changed your hair, you have a different hair color, a different hairstyle. Some things, just thinking of the past years of my life, if anyone wants to think back to themselves 2 years ago, it's like in some way you were a different person. Maybe for me, 2 years ago, I wasn't a parent. Now I am. I feel different. And I think that's the best cue would be to look at your old headshot and think, is that me back then? Is that me now? And if the answer is no, and it could be kind of just a feeling, then I think it's time for an update. So it's physical changes. And of course we're all aging, but don't let that scare you. I've worked with plenty of middle-aged and older people, and you still look great. Well, don't worry. Yeah. But you want to have an accurate representation of yourself. You don't want people to be looking at your headshot from 10 years ago and you look totally different, and embrace who you are now and be proud to represent your current version of yourself, because we're all changing every year for certain.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, because when you meet up with the real person and the real person looks nothing like the headshot, that can be a problem for the people you're meeting with. One of the things that stood out for me as I was thinking about this interview is you've got all these great 5-star reviews, and one lady in her review, her 5-star review, she said that, first of all, you're magic, so congratulations on being magic. But she said, I've always dreaded having my photo taken by anyone who doesn't know me personally, and the dread always shows in the end result. Now, what I find interesting about that is I don't know about this particular person. I know you knew me ahead of time, but a lot of your clients, you don't know them ahead of time.
No. Yeah. At most, I talk on the phone.
Yeah.
A little bit, but yeah.
Particularly when you're doing companies and
I really don't know that.
Got a dozen people that
right.
you've got lined up.
Yep.
But how do you do that? How do you come across as pulling out that individuality with people?
Right. Yeah. That goes back to just really making an effort. I almost feel like sometimes I rapid fire questions at people. Hey, do you have any pets or kids? Or I'm just asking them questions, especially I just did company headshots a week ago. And that was the thing is, what do you do here? That's easy. It's your job. And people find it easy, of course, to answer questions about themselves. And through that process, I'm not only making them relax because I'm making small talk. I'm trying to be personable, one, but two, I'm trying to pick up little facts about them. Oh, they have kids. Okay, I can use that. Oh, they have a dog. And that gives me something to say to them that might be funny or silly. But I know something about them now, and I can use that later if I need to elicit like a genuine reaction, a genuine smile. That's one thing I haven't mentioned, but I never ever say, okay, now smile. I never say the word smile in sessions because it never works and never gets good results.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, I might do a funny way to hint at it. I say something silly. Give me like, I have to be careful who I say this with. I don't want to come off as mean, but 10% less miserable. And that, that works with guys a lot. I know I try to use, Anyway, or 10%. Give me 10% happier or something. It's just funny because people are thinking, what does that mean? But they'll do a little smirk. And that's what I want. I just want to be genuine. So I'm pulling things from their life or just one-liners that
you've got all your secret one-liners.
Pocket.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing what, if you make the effort, what random things you can connect with people on. The other day at the company headshot session, it was like, this person, I asked them the funny question, pizza or french fries? He said, pizza. He said, Friday is our pizza day. And I said, I think I was like, do you like a particular place around here? Oh no, we make pizza at home. And I was like, oh wow. My husband and I have a pizza oven at home. So I said, do you have a pizza oven? Turns out we had the same pizza oven. It was just random. And this is a company headshot. I do not know this person, but I was able to really connect on something from a totally random, unexpected way. And that's the goal. It's just always being personable. It's always asking someone's name and I think making people, lastly, I'll say, making people feel taken care of too. So the details matter in headshots. So I'm going up there and fixing hair. I always ask, hey, can I fix your hair or can I fix your shirt? And just giving that level of care and attention, I think people trust me and people feel at ease, which is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, this has been great. And I can't imagine there aren't some folks that wouldn't want to be in touch. So let's tell them how they can do that.
Sure. So you can reach me on my website. That is bluechipheadshots.com. Also, you can shoot me an email at Sarah, that's Sarah with an H, at bluechipheadshots.com. Yeah, I'd love to help you out with your headshot.
And if she can do it for me, folks, she can do it for anybody. So thank you, Sarah, for your great work. I experienced it firsthand, and I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me back on your show, John.
Absolutely. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things before we let you go for today. If you are a solo small firm professional services provider, if you are having issues around understanding your value, which is not what you think it is, it's what clients think it is, and there's a big difference, and that's a good thing for you. And if you don't understand that particular principle, then I suggest you need to check out my book. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. And once you understand that concept, that clients see more value in you than you see yourself, it changes everything about your business for the good. You can go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more. You're welcome to email me, john@johnray.co. Also, I just want to thank you. If you're listening to the show, I want to thank you because you have supported us now for coming up on 9 years here of North Fulton Business Radio. And this is show number 860 something. Can't remember what, but the point of it is that you have supported us over the years in so many ways, and you help us live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond. You share the show, you like us on social media, send us great guests, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for your support and kindness over the years. I'm grateful to you. So for my guest, Sarah Adams, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.